Alright, I'm going to try my best to explain how to make a Roll20 campaign from scratch, cover as much stuff as I've learned in 5 years. I know there's a lot of people doing this, but I thought I'd offer a different perspective, I guess, or a different voice. I don't know. These are trying times, historical document video, it's the pandemic of 2020. A lot of people want to play D&D online. I want to try to help. So, step one, go to roll20.net and sign up for an account. I'm not going to show you how to do that. That's sort of your trial by fire. If you can figure this out, then you are ready to DM on Roll20. If you can't figure out how to build an account, close the video, just go play Monopoly or something. Alright, so, here we go. You're in Roll20, you have an account. I have a pro account, so I can't vouch for all the features you're going to see here today or in the videos that I make. Honestly, a D&D group is a group of people. It should not fall on the DM to cover all the costs of operation. A pro subscription split among 4 to 7 people is not a lot of money. Tell your group, everybody's going to chip in. We're going to have a pro account. And then have a great time because you'll have dynamic lighting and all that cool stuff. So that's what we're doing. Right away, I can see a button here that says create a new game. But if that button wasn't there, I would go to games and I would select create a new game from the drop down. There's another way to get there. That is, if I am in my games section, there'll be a button that says create a new game. So 2 different ways to get there. When I select create a new game, I go to this screen. So, on the right-hand side, you'll notice a lot of modules. I have a lot of modules. I've been doing this a long time. If I were to select a module, it would speed things up ever so slightly because everyone who makes a module, they set some default settings ahead of time that work well with their module. But we're going to do everything from scratch because we're going to pretend that you're doing this entirely from scratch or that you have a home game that you're trying to convert over, whatever. We're going to do it from scratch. Start new game. Name and tags. We're going to give this name, this game, the name 2020 Tutorial Campaign. For tags, we'll just call it a 5e game. We'll say it's a Roll20 game, which is kind of a duh because it's right here. And also label it tutorial. There we go. All right. Am I ready to create my game yet? Not yet. You want to go down to optional, choose a character sheet. This is a 5th edition video. We're making a 5th edition Roll20 game. Should have said that at the very beginning. So, where it says none, we're going to click on it to bring up a drop-down menu. Rather than go looking for it, we're just going to type 5E. Sheets by Roll20, D&D 5e by Roll20. Boom. Select it. You've got a character sheet. But there's a lot of other character sheets, you might say. Doesn't matter. This is the character sheet we're going to use. Everything that Roll20 does and builds and sells is built around this character sheet, so just use this character sheet. You don't always gotta ice skate uphill, right? Just use this character sheet. It's a good character sheet. Alright, now we're gonna say, I'm ready. Create game. And the game is created. Are we ready to launch the game yet? No, not yet. So we want, first and foremost, to look nice. So we're going to add a banner to our page. I have a folder full of assets just for these tutorial videos. If you need those assets, I will try to make them available to you. So hit me up in comments, hit me up on Discord. I will try to get you these cool assets that I've been using. So I have this banner. It's got some goblins on it, or gerblins, if you are from a more sophisticated fandom, perhaps. There they are. Adorable. Alright, so, are we ready to start now? We're still not ready to start. So what are we going to be playing? In the box next to playing, we're going to type 5e. We're going to select D&D 5e. This is important in case you ever have to use Roll20 to recruit yourself some players. When is the next game going to be scheduled? Well, this is nice, right? So if you want to recruit players, you do have to have a date chosen. So we're going to go ahead and say next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Sounds like a good time. Hit save. Are we ready to start yet? Nope, not yet. So We're going to give it a description. This is optional, but let's be professionals here. So we're going to call this, this campaign is designed to help learn Roll20. Done. Save changes. Now, you could get super complicated with that, use Markdown, make headings, go crazy. We're not going to cover that in this video. Game add-ons. What are game add-ons? They are the DLC of Roll20. So all sorts of neat stuff that you can add to your game. One-shot dungeons, special packs of tokens and miniatures. All sorts of neat stuff. The things that I like as add-ons, I like these critical hit decks, which are fun. And I also love these treasure decks. Both of those are from Nordic Games. They are awesome. But we're not going to cover those in this video. We don't have any add-ons. We're doing a bare bones basic game. What is recent game discussions? This is a built-in old school forums tool. I mean, that's cool. A free forums tool built into your game. Why not? If you are a person living in the year 2020 plus, you probably are just using Discord or some similar service for communications. But if you aren't, this could be a cool place for everybody to post up about the game and maybe recaps of sessions or roleplay in between sessions. So yeah, it's a neat feature. All right, are we ready to start now? No. We are going to click on settings over here. And there are options here: game settings, API scripts, copy game, clear chat archive, delete game, rollback game. Well, we don't want to delete it because we're trying to make it. We can't roll it back because we haven't made it yet. Clear chat archive is a cool feature if you need to wipe the chat entirely from your game. Useful if you've made a copy of an existing game, or you're just trying to clean up a current game, or maybe forget a terrible thing that happened in chat and get rid of it. Copy game is great for backing up your game. Never a bad idea after an adventure arc is over to make a copy of a game, just in case. You never know. And API scripts are really cool, and they can enhance your game quite a bit. They do require a pro membership to use, but we're not going to cover them in this video because we're going to do a basic Roll20 campaign. But we are going to go to game settings. So we go to settings, and we go to game settings, and click on game settings. That brings us to a page full of stuff. All right, public access to the game. The only reason that you would want to leave this on no is if A, you're running a game for a bunch of friends and family and you don't really need anybody else to know about it, or B, you're running a game that's a little sketchy and a little shady and you don't want future employers to ever see it. If you plan to advertise for players, you will need to click on yes so that people can see the game and know about it. If you want to boast about your game to people, you want to leave it on public so you can be like, yeah, look, I have friends and we play Dungeons Dragons online. Haha. I'm going to just turn it to yes. Game background image. This sounds like it'd be pretty cool, but it's really not. It's a pro feature, ? And it adds a cheesy 1990s GeoCity-esque animated background to your landing page. I don't know. I don't know why in 5 years there's only 3 options, but there they are. So I guess we'll just pick one because it's cooler than not having one. So we'll do this dramatic moon with a field. Cool. Should we allow players to import their own characters? Yes or no? I would say yes. The reason is Roll20 has this really cool tool called Character Vault. Character Vault allows players to take characters that they have made in one Roll20 game and upload them to Character Vault and then send them to another game. This can be very useful if your players are Roll20 savvy because they can create their character and their familiar and their summon monsters and their druid forms and all that stuff in their own Roll20 game and then just send it on over to your game, save you a little bit of time. Wouldn't that be nice? So I like to leave that turned on. It also allows people to take the character from your game and back it up. Because, you know, maybe they want to use it in a one-shot or something that a buddy's running. So it's a cool feature to leave on. Game default settings, we're not going to mess with that just yet. Access compendium in-game, determined by character sheet. Leave it at determined by character sheet. You selected the 5th edition character sheet, so it's going to link to the 5th edition compendium. Share my compendium with my players? Absolutely. I can't do that because I'm already sharing it with 5 groups, but if you are not, I would definitely recommend doing it. It saves everybody a ton of money. Roll20 products are not cheap, and if you have compendium sharing on, everything that you have purchased will be available to the players in your game when they are logged into your game. So while logged into your game, when they search the compendium, they'll be able to find all the stuff that you have added through your purchases. When they use the Charactermancer, they'll be able to access all the features that you have made available with your purchases. So sharing compendium, a good. Character sheet. Yep, we want to use this one. D&D 5e by Roll20. That's the one we want to use as of the date of this video. Default settings. Do you want the default to be an NPC character sheet? No. Keep it a player character sheet. You don't want to turn this on because when you go to make character sheets for people, if you have it set to NPC default, you'll make the wrong character sheets and everyone will get really confused and upset. Use level 1 Charactermancer for new characters. Leave that on yes. Charactermancer is really cool. It's a really cool feature. Honest to God, it's a really cool feature. Especially if you spent a lot of money buying Roll20 books. It is a really cool feature. So leave it on. I have a video that explains how Charactermancer works. I could link to it in the description. Here's where it gets a little interesting, and it's totally based on personal choice, but I'm going to tell you my personal choice because it's my video. I run 5 games a week, 7 games a month, a lot of games. I run a lot of games. No, 7 campaigns a month, 5 games a week. I run a lot of games. I'm always looking for ways to speed up gameplay. These settings definitely speed up gameplay, and that is always rolling for advantage, never whispering rolls. I mean, that's really personal preference. We'll talk about it in a second. And auto roll damage and crit. Those are the settings that I like to use. Now, I'm going to tell you about them real quick, or you can like skip ahead 2 minutes, I guess, and continue the video. What do roll queries mean? So, if you always have roll advantage on, every time you go to roll a d20, Roll20 will automatically roll 2 d20s for you, even if you wouldn't normally need to. So basically, it's always rolling 2 d20s, and they will appear on the right-hand side of your screen in chat, and there will be a left-hand number and a right-hand number. The player, if they, or the, the Dungeon Master, if they didn't have advantage or disadvantage, they will ignore the second number and just use the first number and move on with their lives. If they did have advantage, they will take the best of the 2 numbers, and if they had disadvantage, they'll take the worst of the 2 numbers. But now, you've already rolled all the dice, and Roll20 did all the math, and now you can move on to the next part. If you don't like that, the other options are to toggle your advantage. So every character sheet will have these buttons at the top here that, let me zoom in real quick. There we go. These buttons at the top, right, that say advantage, normal, and disadvantage. And you will have to remember, sort of like the stick shift on a car, what mode you are in and change it accordingly. Which to me feels like a lot of work when it could all automatically be happening. So that is another way to do it. Now, if you don't like toggling it, and you do like Windows pop-ups, you could do query advantage. And what that means is every time you go to roll a d20, a pop-up window will appear, and it will demand to know, do you have advantage, do you have disadvantage, or are you attacking normally? Every single time, a pop-up will appear. Every single time, a pop-up will appear. Yeah. So, some people like that. I think that it's, I think it just slows things down. And then, of course, there's this option to never roll advantage, but we're going to ignore that because that's really just useless for 5th edition D&D. All right, so I'm going to leave it at always roll advantage. Then we've got whisper rolls to the DM. If you've never used Roll20 before, what does whispering rolls mean? Whispering means there is a Dungeon Master screen. So whispered rolls are rolls that happen behind the Dungeon Master screen. Only the Dungeon Master can see those rolls. Why would you whisper rolls? You would whisper rolls so that other players don't see them, so that the DM could, fudge rolls, basically. It's so the DM could fudge rolls. That's why you whisper stuff. It's for fudging. It's for lying. The dragon did make its saving throw. The dragon did miss on the attack roll that would have critically hit and killed the wizard. It basically gives the DM total control over what's happening in the game, and you know, a lot of DMs swear by it. I do all my rolls out on the table, but I also kill a lot more players than most people because I don't fudge rolls. It's just how it is. So makes it a lot harder to balance your game when you're rolling out on the table, that's for sure. So the other option is to toggle Whisper. So every single time you go to roll any dice, it's going to ask you, do you want this to be whispered? Do you want this to be public? And then finally, that would be querying Whisper would be the pop-up. And then toggle Whisper, you can see it says public and 2GM, right? That's how you would toggle on and off the Whisper. And the NPC character sheets will have that as well. So, you know, it's really just based on your personal preference. If you're a roll behind the screen kind of DM, you are going to want to have Whisper as an option. If you are a let RNGesus take the wheel, you're never going to want to whisper your rolls. All right. Auto damage roll. What does that mean? We are using a computer. Let the computer do all the work. If you have auto damage and crit turned on, every time you roll an attack roll, it will grab the damage dice associated with that attack and it will automatically roll them for you. If it realizes that you've gotten a critical hit, it will automatically grab the extra dice for the critical hit and it'll roll that too. Pretty awesome. Yeah. Some people don't like that because they feel like I don't want to see what I missed out on, but cinematically, I think it's really cool because if there was a big ogre and he swung on you and he missed, but his damage was a 24, you realize that you only had 9 health, so that ogre would have killed you in one hit. Now you have a really incredible sense of urgency that you need to get away from and not hit by that ogre. So I think, cinematically, it's really exciting. The ogre swings, you duck, he smashes the tree that was behind you in one swing. You realize what you're dealing with here. If you don't like auto roll, you could turn it off. What that means is when you make attack rolls, you have to check and make sure they hit. And if they do hit, then you click another button that will be located in chat, and that will cause the dice to roll. Honestly, you could save yourself a lot of time and just leave auto roll damage on. What else is here? Core dice roll, leave it alone. Proficiency bonus, leave it alone. Custom proficiency, leave it alone. Add dex tiebreaker to initiative. I like to turn this on. Basically, if you have 2 people with the same dexterity and they get the same initiative, you're still going to have to figure out who goes first. But if we had 2 people with different dexterities that got the same initiative, it would automatically sort the higher dexterity person above that person in the initiative tracker. So it's a cool feature to leave on. Show global save modifiers and all these other modifiers. I'm not going to explain exactly what they do right now, but I will tell you that you do want to leave them on by default so that they're automatically populated onto your player's character sheets when you generate them. Add character name to templates, turn it on. Why? Because characters will often control more than just their characters, right? Players will have their player character, they'll have their familiar, the summon monster, the somebody won't show up and they'll be like, you know, Johnny's playing my character tonight, so Johnny's playing 2 characters, and you want to tell which character is which. You want to leave this nameplate on. Auto level calculations, leave it on. Encumbrance, it's entirely up to you, but Roll20 will track your encumbrance for you. I'll tell you what, having a computer track your encumbrance, you're going to find out that all your players are always encumbered all the time. So you're probably going to abandon encumbrance pretty quick because it's, you know, it's up to you. Depends on what kind of game you're running, but it will track it for you automatically. Inventory, compendium compatible, leave it alone. Features and traits, compendium compatible, leave it alone. Proficiency in languages, compendium compatible, leave it alone. Show NPC name in roles. I like to hide my NPC names because sometimes I like the assassin to be mysterious or the big boss to, you know, the players don't know what their name is. So I like to leave that on hidden. Ammo tracking, it requires an API script, and I don't really know anyone that bothers tracking mundane ammunition. If you need to track fancy ammunition, there is a way to do that on the character sheet. I can show you in a future video. Don't need to worry about these bar values, don't need to worry about honor score and sanity, at least to the best of my knowledge. So with that, you can go ahead and hit the save button. Alright, we'll scroll through and make sure everything was saved. Good. If you want to get slightly more in depth, you can go to your game default settings. What this does is it allows you to change things that are created in the game. So once the Roll20 game is started and you start building stuff, this will determine how big your maps are when you build them. 25 by 25 is a pretty small map, so I do like to change that to 50 by 50 when I have the occasion to do so. There we go. Generally, you want to keep your maps under 100, and we'll talk about that in a future video. But yeah, page size, sure, you can mess with that. Background, I don't know. I like to have a darker background because it's easier on the eyeballs. All this other stuff, you could just leave blank. I mean, this is really personal preference as you learn the tool set, but for now, you could even leave the page size blank if you wanted to. I will go ahead and save those changes. Alright, so I have made all these changes. I've set the game up the way I want it to be set up. Now, I can go back and I can start the game. So I go ahead and I click Launch Game. And it starts booting up. And bam! We are in the game. We have our basic blank background starting page. We have our big chat menu over here. We've got all our tools. And we will explore this interface in our next video.